Donald Trump said it was just an excursion and now oko Iran. Now it has turned to be a long vacation for the whole world to really feel the pain na ekoswo. So excursion turned a long vacation. And then today, or catcher say, yemano the next 2 to 3 weeks on Iran, in as much as the world is waiting for the next 2 to 3 weeks, ama so ebre when it comes to fango ho ensem. I don't know ama niema entumi enkoyi emma bibibia esese bia ewo omemu hanom. And indeed we're going to center ewo Ghana na afia hwe de ekọ ene de ebenyina. So indeed somewhere June 2025 and the issue of energy sector and that was when the new government set in to say energy sector no and yema ensheda enkoyi. Therefore your huge bill say ye clear and say ye yifi honum sine beya and yema betumi akoyi ama the energy sector. President Mahama say we owe almost about $3.1 billion as of 2025 time or more ebetina bemuno. And then of course we're looking at an estimate of 1.8 billion to really procure fuel. The same energy sector no etumi akoyi. And no esefata say ye clear sa debt no. Se be say clear sa debt ne dia esefata say ye nyina ye boy abosom na yetumi ejina na omaye Levy bi esese yutua se na be ya ye betumi aclear eyesa kana eda honom no. Nema me kan wansem nyina no na Donald Trump ani Israel se no so mo hwehwe mo de ani Iran akwakoboso nti ye hye ni nyina no they also thinking something else ama akofan sembebre na no na aba. But yeroba kwa chikakra na afi yetie omampanyin I'm talking about President John Dramani Mahama emra oka kire Ghana for se esefata se yetua 1 Ghana levy ewo fangwa na se petrol ni diesel ayeto ewo mama to enable us se ne betimi atua ka bi ededa ho bia ne betimi atua no odi hu komo eka bibi ekyereye besi etie na afeso yehwe exactly what omampani eka efa the reason why we needed to pay 1 Ghana levy no yehwe sisia.
The dialogue recognizes growing energy sector liabilities as the greatest existential threat to fiscal consolidation and macroeconomic stability. Our energy sector carries a debt burden of over $3.1 billion with an estimated $1.8 billion more required to finance fuel procurements for uninterrupted thermal power generation in the coming months. If left unaddressed, this situation significantly threatens national productivity and industrial growth. While we have devised a strategy to liquidate this debt and staunch the bleeding in the power sector, we must take advantage of recent gains created by appreciation in the value of our currency to accelerate the solution to our energy sector challenges. In line with the dialogue's recommendation to boldly tackle the crisis in the energy sector, Parliament yesterday approved an amendment to the Energy Sector Levies Act and the Certificate of Urgency, introducing a 1 Ghana cedi increase in the energy sector recovery levy. This decision, though difficult, is necessary and justifiable. The additional revenue projected is 5.7 billion cedis annually. This revenue will be strictly ring-fenced to pay down legacy energy debt, finance ongoing fuel purchase, and avert the risk of recurring power shortages. Funds from this levy will not be subject to the hazards of the consolidated fund. And the minister is here. I know when money falls into the consolidated fund, it faces certain hazards. It will not be subject to the hazards of the consolidated fund. The fund will be regularly audited and audit reports made public to ensure its transparent use.
So clearly, this is what Omampeni Ekaye to let every Ghanaian understand. Say, Esafata says, see, Tia 1 Ghana levy be, seen a bit to me abwa ama ye energy sector debts in our home, a bit to me are clear. So, in all, we are telling ourselves that annually, 1 Ghana cedi is going to fetch on mine Ghana 5.7 billion Ghana cedis annually to make it or to make up for a debt in a war say to me if you honomono. But Sanema way buy, you know, of course, the minority still insisted, say that's 1 Ghana levy, you know, M1. Adibia ebabema omaino anase timemufo ehu achiro mu ye pa and you know they opposed that's 1 Ghana levy, you know. But of course, a coursewa ema yejitu muse SSA yitia driver for NFA so omoma KBN also accepted the fact say SSA yitia sa 1 Ghana levy, you know. And indeed ye na yedi hu shemu say yibitua ne kakrakra sine beya yeso ye behu ehu behin because ana ban kache ye nyina. Then today fast forward the minority in parliament make a minority in parliament and I make a select committee ranking member or also ura deputy ranking member make a Collins Adomako a press conference in our parliament to still talk about the issue of the rising of the cost of crude we are say and answer the world. I mean how it is moving. And now pay yet to say almost about $119 per barrel. Sisia minimbe could do sisia as we speak. But almost for say and Yamasin and MSC Connedia or Mampeni any 1 Ghana levy no in Fisu Senebea Ghana for so and who ebehin home ye payentie the Ora Collins Eka our press conference and Afayambra back this year.
Service Amendment Act of 2025 officially added approximately 1 Ghana cedi to the price builder, bringing the total energy sector shortfall and debt repayment levy to 1.95 Ghana cedi for petrol and 1.93 Ghana cedi for diesel. Moreover, the government itself had announced that between January and December 2025, it paid approximately $1.47 billion to reset the energy sector, including the full repayment of the 597 million Ghana cedis drawn on the World Bank partial risk guarantee and settlement of all outstanding gas invoices. The World Bank guarantee has been fully restored, and the government has stated unequivocally that the era of unchecked energy sector debt accumulation is over. If the debt has been addressed, if the guarantee has been restored, and if the cedi is no longer shielding consumers from levies impacts, then the justification for the 1 Ghana cedi doomsday levy has completely evaporated. Keeping it is not policy, it is punishment. We call on government to immediately amend the Energy Sector Levies Amendment Act 2025 under a certificate of urgency to repeal the 1 Ghana cedi doomsday levy forthwith. Additionally, we call on government to direct a comprehensive review of all taxes and levies embedded in the petroleum price builder and to intensify those that can be suspended or restricted to cushion consumers from the Sector Levies Amendment Act of 2025 officially added approximately 1 Ghana cedi to the price builder, bringing the total energy sector shortfall and debt repayment levy to 1.95 Ghana cedi for petrol and 1.93 Ghana cedi for diesel. Moreover, the government itself had announced that between January and December 2025, it paid approximately $1.47 billion to reset the energy sector, including the full repayment of the 597 million Ghana cedis drawn on the World Bank partial risk guarantee and settlement of all outstanding gas invoices. The World Bank guarantee has been fully restored, and the government has stated unequivocally that the era of unchecked energy sector debt accumulation is over. If the debt has been addressed, if the guarantee has been restored, and if the cedi is no longer shielding consumers from levies impacts, then the justification for the 1 Ghana cedi doomsday levy has completely evaporated.
So clearly this was 2 weeks ago, and a deputy ranking member a energy committee so Collins Adumako edisa in same way na etudwa, and indeed what they are saying is a hardship on Ghanaians, and then again they are looking at a abide repeal the Energy Sector Levy Amendment Act 2025 under a certificate of agency Senebeya Ghana for so this was some 2 weeks ago, and a minority can't same way, and it's interesting that when President also met the CSOs ne dialogue on the CSOs in Asia ojna omonim can be the oil industry, the sector, and what he thinks say enmenim heya no obetumi aye afa ho yenhwe omampani on the CSOs in Asia, what he said about the fuel and then oil prices.
Keeping it with more.
I want to thank Duncan for his issue about the stability of fuel prices. Things were sailing quite smoothly, and indeed we're beginning to enjoy some of the lowest fuel prices in a long time. Unfortunately, they say man proposes, God disposes. I don't know what came into the heads of Trump, Netanyahu, and all of them to start this war. But unfortunately, while the CD remains stable, if this had happened when the CD was at 17, we probably could not have been able to survive. But the good thing for us is that the CD remains stable, and so the push factor in the oil price buildup is not coming from the currency, because happily the currency is remaining stable. The push factor is coming from the price of crude oil and finished products. And so far, we've absorbed it. It's not affected us as much, but if this thing continues some more, then we'll have to take some decisive decisions. Some of the weapons we have is to look at the margins to try and cushion consumers, and then also look at the recently imposed 1 CD development levy to try and cushion consumers. But my hope is that sooner than later, this war will come to an end, and we'll see more stable fuel prices. But for now, government remains concerned because fuel prices move the transport sector, and the transport sector is the main driver of inflation. If fuel goes up, the cost of transporting food items goes up, and it affects the inflation in the food basket. And so I'm happy we have thinkers like Duncan and co. We're all looking at what is going on and praying that the war comes to an end. But if it doesn't, what other methods can we use to cushion the fuel price so that we don't see an increase in inflation?
Omampani on the ASCS no Asia no de ode etu adwa no. So indeed wame atiase se enema ohwese na nemesi kona se anko ye dia, then they will have to look into some of these margins and then the one Ghana levy issues na minority erezi na wahwe kwan befa so a ebetimi ama timemfo so eho ahenha omo efa de ekoso no na afa bibia etumi akọ enimu kan. But indeed, quick one, as we speak right now what it means is that petrol ton 13 Ghana cedis 0.30 per liter, and also diesel we understand is selling about 17 Ghana cedis 0.10 per liter, and LPG so eko 10.71 per kg anona senior omoton sisia senior air no. So again obi maybe say what is really happening on the continent as we speak. What is president waiting for to see say obetimi aye with immediate effect, and also say still ano obetwen kakra senior ono oye ne dan den, because state of emergency he said he's not going to do it. He will wait till enema betimi akọ baby afo say air con enko ye dia obetimi aye when it comes to illegal galamsey. But this time around to what will be the issues, because on the continent it is really fast rating with some of the African continent and then some of the countries now air corner. So we understand. So say GPRTU is giving a buying by Tuesday Ombeko meeting. 48 hours we had initially. Now they are saying it's a Tuesday Ombeko meeting with the Minister of Transport. Now Omono Mokakushia to see how ombetimi a manage situation no amom when it comes to a first and I say a sika ye when okofro a car na basa and also no ombetimi a share a money ma etimi akoye. So we're looking at almost all those ones. And somebody will say that currently inflation is 3.2% as of March 2026, but still fuel costs almost about 3.1% despite stable inflation. Ben in Siabe Church said, well, indeed, these figures that we're mentioning are the correct ones that we have. But it's interesting. I mean, where some of the African countries are cushioning more countries, we are still waiting to see, say, and so in Namibia, just as we heard today in Namibia, Omama from April to June 2026, this month, April to June 2026, Omatete Enyema, so as we speak right now in terms of fuel, Namibia for. So as we speak, almost to me atete Nyema, so Ebema Timimo so and who I hear home, even though they are still telling us, say, Domaya Krano, it still have certain things, prices and cost road there. There's a need for them to touch the fuel margins and the taxes in that one. So they've given themselves from April to June 2026. Just as I told you, said Trump will say 2 to 3 weeks on Iran for baby, almost at their share from April to June 2026 in Namibia to see them almost on my home not almost when you go to countries like the India, for instance. India has also taken that bold step from April 2026 as we speak right now, almost initiating major fuel tax cuts to shield citizens because of the price hike in cost when it comes to Iran, Israel, and the US in Tokano. Taking that particular lead more young BBCC. Again, South Africa has also taking the lead on also essay Watete and Yemaso on also from 1st April 2026 to 5th of May 2026 on also Atete Yemaso Chesesi Anedie almost so Atias said they need to cushion South Africa to also see a bed, so a better. So India has done it, Namibia has done it, and then I feel South Africa so IUBCC. We don't know who will be next when it comes to entity courses. So it means that certain people have taken the lead because 2 weeks ago Yankasa the deputy ranking member Eka said if government has paid almost about $1.47 billion already paid on the energy sector thing since 2025. What is the need to keep the one Ghana na a was one? He thinks that no fine for Subia and so therefore they should look into it. Many cases say sachet water for also essay or more to 2 prices in him and in Tizakoto sachet water CC and air bottles are mineral bottles and CC and also echo anymore. Why? Because almost said and Nema or more a day this production they call it a polymer, if I'm right with the word. Almost say omokra if the Middle East. China, a honor no mukra sanya money fee, raw materials, so normally yes, sachet water now. As we speak right now, ships no Emma in Middle East, biomomu enya and Yamane Baba Kraswa, I know the pass, so they are not even getting it. So they have taken the lead to start increasing a year or more product in this. So as we speak today, sachet water for also up to 2 months, say a cost through. So who will be next when it comes to next week after the Easter holidays? When and the next to do that? Send a mampenyi kaya no otutu mwa na akofa nsembebre na no na aba because it will generate a lot of issues when it comes to air cost. Intinano, yababedi nkomo ye pa. Yawo True Drivers Union for penyini wahaya berma ufiana feso Pauli concerned drivers for so wahana feso yuna Benjamin Insia, who is the Secretary Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy. So ufiano ma yababedi nkomo sisa will be joined on Zoom with Dr. Riverson Opon, who is the CEO for Comac. Now on also eno edi nkomo ufiano. Before micha mbibia bokode. Yeah, they all say. Rabben, me no be share because CC and I be do technical side where we need your input into it and all that. So, we were told that say one Ghana levy no was CC idea. We're going to look almost about 700 million every month. That is how much Ghana was going to make out of this particular one Ghana levy. Now the call for a one Ghana levy to move, is it at the right time now for us to do that?
Concern true drivers. You know when they chance you. I'm a throttle bit.
Really?
Oh yeah, you know when I throttle bit. Yes, that anyone they say.
Oh my. I know. Say me by. Yeah, but my say me catch no way. Oh my.
Ya dia pra de
unze washikut.
Ya dia bi hu na bro ya abura fe.
Oh okay. Yes sir. Yeah.
Na obi hu me mobo aba me fertilizer bi akogu me ntonsi ase mamu pam kaba eno me je ba problem.
Interesting. But say ya why ya nyef bone so ya why
ya ne pa
ya bomo ye mi nye ye
ya sa
ya ne papa de mita tene ka mita hu ba ya de be afi ba ko ni mi hu
ene pe no hu no.
Oh yeah, January 7 hu ya obi
da runya no
that's say yenina yen say Burkina Faso ye fans e free yen say e ntosi no enti ama ye ni abre e pese e sanje ye title na likuta wa Africa
we dey ya
cause me yen ntosi
yo
akuma da na metie na wo so kwan na ho
yo
we pocket was akuma da
now we do
stop grabbing who you by the way. So on the issues about one Ghana cedi levy. I think that Mrana normally any one Ghana cedi because Mrana na the one Ghana cedi ne ban 1135. It can pass here no. But yes who say was some Mrana na the 1141 ban. So you say no. It's kind of one Ghana cedi. One Ghana cedi 95 pesos per liter petrol. So one Ghana cedi is 93 pesos per liter or diesel so. And a one Ghana cedi 73 pesos per kilogram or LPG. So, amende new act no, kambomu energy sector. This is energy sector shortfall and debt repayment levy. And share that one Ghana cedi because one Ghana cedi the nanke no a contemporary and I say jina fakon. Okay. Levy or in the 1135.
Okay.
But I say I can't other price stabilization and recovery levy. You can't. Sanitation and pollution levy, energy sector recovery levy, energy debt recovery levy, and inside the one Ghana cedi county. They say you born to offer friend energy sector shortfall and debt repayment levy. Say you be here few and I say you few on my Ghana because I be a mekase we on my say o planning o the data and the formulative policies can we say one critical component affected growth and development energy. So energy is one a fuel, the transport sector relies on fuel, industrial sector rely on fuel. Operation be on fuel county. As a fuel borne cost is likely going to affect the economy. And a president Kramayati says fuel bond started say cost inflation, but cost a lot of factors will begin to rise and Ashanka phone so best start here say omope Ashanti a lot of the at what price or my was accepted as the maximum price of fuel prices. The countries like China and Korea almost seal almost say price no druba bia almost percent cost because price no cost be affect inflation or more introduce price stabilization fund to make sure that price is still at a level, and that is a planned economy. Any country that plans will always make sure that abbrevianos price is very volatile money affecting inflation planning because inflation or the new baby or the microphone free here or the born in or the the moment inflation that be an engine a corner buffer and one mountain planning as a macroeconomist. Ghana no say yes we have 17 no and they boy costra sometimes 17 no crabby and entirely true because others are also selling it 1850 maybe total 1850 Benabe Nkua selling the 1769. Even with Tom Bro 1710 now. Wa announce no. Nti say your mind na say 18 no and never why na. Your man nka ho say 18 na. Ye free so but in terms of say be amend 11441 no. I think we need to look at the issues. There be a makase ye krum hanom no normally ye TS ka hunu. The entire makase TS ka hunu ne say 2015 and pass 899 Energy Sector Levy Act. Ye pass 899 no acco amendment be 4 and 5. E bi o ha ye diskani bi ka ho. Ye di bi to the ehyebu dada no. So for example, the original Act 899 no esla no na energy debt recovery levy 41 pesos per liter. MPP by on be adjusted for 49 in one of their first amendment they call 49. Price stabilization and recovery levy na 12 on petrol and then 10 on diesel. MPP by on be adjusted cost ro be 16 on petrol and 14 on diesel. No omodi ko na we so crack within the esla no na sika ba ko kan wa friend no road fund. Road fund in the original estimate 40, MPP the 8 become by 48. And no crown so in 2021.
Wow.
Almost signed the energy sector recovery levy by 20 pesos and a sanitation and pollution levy by through the subsequent amendment 1064 in 2021. In this cano original levies need to become home. Na yasa ashishe levy for the abeka home. The entire day by say the cotian in Amkania. And this informs by 2025. Almost the same thing. Yeah, amend the act no na yemfa sika binka ho yemfa one cedi nka ho den ya yesi di kotua nkania but nkania no da be na ebitua wie obi antimi nka nkania no no krese sika nkania na edeko enye no kre. And let's look at the figures and let's look at it carefully. Uche Collins Adumakon Honorable o kan asem bi o say aban yi say NDC aban say what you 1.4 billion.
Yeah, 1.47
legacy debt, right? Yenyina ashenkafo minia true any concern any TSS no because yeah is a private vehicle you said to fuel and say about money turn it do. They paid for it 1.4 billion year tia. Abaya my TSS say aka another 1.4 billion. And said do papa men ka say aka be 1.4 billion. 1.4 billion utie finance minister in the 2026 budget. Utie president in recent meetings and any share yeah. Or say size can ya chim say you be 9 from 2026 to 2030. Now afibia ni betua be 300 million, right? This afibia etua 300 million na for even nesidi no. What in nesidi na 300 million times 11 3.3 billion. Anambwa. Yeah. Which means every year 3.3 billion. Nti emfa no tonchen. Wo take fuel almost is can be so I to fuel. Let me share that modern fuel I yet for power sector. Omo use crude no AXA and the same power. We show more fuel or motor the whole of 2025. That's omo crude or motor. I think it's around $116 million. And no, Yamena make no credit. Mambrehon Bank of Ghana and state is a scan. Into Treno too. Now we are in free war. No, I call MPA website. Your heavy fuel oil and as a fuel oiler. You crack for the power sector. And gas oil for power. Into no so the power sector ho. Okasa products in Yena Boma. And you see Kano enru $178 million. So in terms of their metric tons tonnage and a tonnage import too for the whole of 2025 because MPA data year January to December 2025. And runti oka fuel nso ayeto a wo de ma men kan nyina mo ano say fuel nso ayeto no afibia no yeto 4 billion. Yeto 4 billion. And this is all the new restructured debt now you betua no 3.3 billion at this current exchange rate of 11. Now the fuel ayeto 4 billion na sikana yesa enya 7 billion. Wo de ma men kasa bitimo eden kra emfa ko 8 billion. Na ye de ko 8 billion na menia. Oko power ye fe say petroleum sector sikana menia no mtua no. Diesel any petrol. Diesel any petrol nko at this energy sector shortfall levy no. And no kwa say sika mienu nko betima ma ye about 13 billion Ghana cedis. Me mususu nka betima ma ye be 15 billion Ghana cedis. That is how much only diesel and then petrol give us 15 billion Ghana cedis. In this 15 billion Ghana cedis and omode maye. Na say kai also utua no shortfall no 8 billion na. I didn't know also gini pa 15 billion. Okay. That is practical. Say I don't know 15 billion and our Jeffrey diesel and quantity petrol in LPG in Kahon.
Yeah.
Because last year we consumed diesel of about 2.9 billion. And I mean petrol, you consume petrol 2.9 billion liters. 2.9 billion liters, 1.95, the emphasis is 2 anisa.
Yeah.
And I'm what?
Yeah.
Until multiply the 2.9 billion liters by 2. Then who's the cow benya? Next I come back to another 2.7 billion multiplied by 2. All the carbon emphasis multiply by 6. 6 by 2. 6 by 2 about 12 billion. Plus all the LPG the other fuel for gas and as a marine fuel for mines. Gas oil for mines. Obey your tax. Obey your tax. Other taxes obey on all the other products. What they can and no quite more by 15 billion. I think the budget quoted around 15 billion proceeds from only energy sector shortfall and their repayment levy. Wow. Now say more about 15 billion. Now fuel any car was so to our car say restructure no car was so to 8 billion. I didn't know 15 billion. I didn't know what. You see, but yet sometimes your politicians because they know we are not much informed, and also they know we don't read much about their data. Nobody ability to track no and so I think that we are overpaying for the sector shortfalls through petroleum.
Wow.
Yeah, and I say finance minister Bekasa. Now there's another mate in the sector which realistic tariff. Obi Obekacho say the realistic tariff we are seeing who. The cut tariff in terms of power sector. Realistic crabroso. This particular quarter year, what is so 4.80. The expectation was that it should have been decreased by about 11%. But Osheda Kuku data from December, January, February, inflation data, which are historical anyway. Because who you saw inflation of December, January, February, average higher than what we projected. Assuming Sanko you saw even the first quarter inflation figure, January, I think 4 point something, but I think February they be right. February 3.3, and March 3.2.
Yeah.
It is so you see inflation now. You are likely going to get a lower inflation than the 4.8 and a 4.7. PRC you see in setting the tariff.
Yeah.
Who you see exchange rate? Who projected exchange rate? It could have been quite cheaper compared to the PRC you see, but they used historical data and set future price for power.
Yeah.
Making power very expensive. 4.0 right? So we pay realistic tariff in the power sector. And who say Minianum Ashen Kafono Monkasa Monkasa because Omuti Monso Monkasa in Abribia and found Scanonco Yankoji Nenko Wistin until Jescahunu. Skahunu Napian Kroma. Oh, that is the fact.
Very interesting.
Just to enrich people's pocket. Until once in the year. So say, let's look at the maximum price of fuel a bit more economy. If we think that 18 cities is higher, we wait more year free soon in your boy. So we say higher now you know Ashanka for be to absorb. So be it, your man in the hole. But the consequences of it, worse. Me say now inflation. You see, that be a inflation. You see a 3.2.
Yeah, 3.2. You
see, it's a weight, a average. 3.2 is average. 3.2 because there are other classifications and I say items in the basket are a recorded negative inflation or what they call deflation. So a recorded negative inflation, that's a big recorded positive. Figure but within the basket, a minimum inflation is higher. So for example, we have classification now. Your classification by like energy, which is electricity, water, and other fuels or fuels. What him says our utility part in the classification the inflation is 12.5.
That's huge.
12.5, right? It is inflation here 12.5. Now the catch revenue say mom to Ashanti because inflation about 3.2. Fuel and utility side 12.5 or bear that cost So my inflation is 3.2. 3.2 because one. Non-food inflation, and as far as the food inflation is recorded lower compared to non-food inflation, and food inflation is lower because one, abroni yento, nti recorded negative inflation. Vegetables yento recorded negative inflation. there are other tuber crops, any crops to be a producing a chromano, meaning recording negative inflation. And when they are recording negative inflation, what it means is that your subsistence agriculture no, and our farmer no, or a poor. Because the non-food inflation is higher compared to the food inflation. Into what it means that the cost of producing is higher than the selling. Into why nti na obo say ye krom ha obi adoku asan so onyeska because fertilizer bono e dancing the output na ba no
nti me ni nje won
no obe wani betumaje. But if you look at the data from my perspective as a development economist, my perspective and ni kwan say wani because we are pushing a lot of people in, and we have regional basis no krana. Most of the I'm trying to me Facebook and others probably say most of the regions in Ghana are omoye farming regions no, they were recording negative inflation, which is this more recording deflation.
Okay.
Now, when they are recording deflation and they are farming regions, what it means is that they are likely being pushed into poverty. Because, now you know, inflation is both demand and supply. Until so they are in the bedroom, now you anto no the kogufi na a proa. Here you know okono.
See anto, I say,
and me kind more last we me call program bi wo atebubu. Kurobi de Bantima between Atebubu ne Kwame Danso.
Okay.
Because program ho. Na minia me free Atebubu e ko sa Bantima ho no program no. U between Atebubu ni sa kwan no. U be won say ye nuanom a omo nkrom kitwa mu. Omo di nkruma. Omo tomatoes no cry different nkitinkiti bi. Nkitinkiti tomatoes nkitinkiti bi. Omo di abegu kwan ene nyadoa. Ana say achemfo friend troa. Omo di abegu kwan ho bi nua obi anto no mo asanse sa kofi. Omode ye de friend nkruma nwanwa nkruma hoye no right ye de chinkase wo bono omode nkruma no begu ha obi anto no mo asa sesa kofie no mo akoko no asa twitwa mo aho na ye de chinkase obi ambeto anfa ye chinkase a wo tuagu. So when those areas are recording the deflation, negative inflation, it means that those people are being pushed into vulnerability and poverty. So you shouldn't be excited about it.
Very
right?
interesting.
But me dey make can say one Ghana city no say aban be ye free so a ebe boy nyina wan ye free so a ye nyina team because at the end of the day it's likely going to cause a boomerang effect because ebe my inflation has started cost rate nya cost rate we say you PRS for back catch and say oh inflation e cost rate yensan to enyinam kania mu they will come and tell us, right? So your planners no your kroma me the manu be sia mami no because on be kasapan your planners no your planning we are a planless economy. We are not intentional. We are not policy oriented. Like so, we better now data no. Any data na plan ye ni bisa okruma. And I think that both NDC and MPP must begin to train people to actually appreciate data and use the data to formulate policies ebe boy nyina. And yes, our man nyina sabinia. Ye nyina ho be kire because me nyese me mention komenye osu bempa. And I mean Nigel Gezi. And I mean Agrada. But if you look at the data, in the next window, I have fuel bit more than 20 cities.
Really?
Diesel, yeah. Diesel bit more than 20 cities. Because if you look at the data today, on the MPA website is $1,400 per metric, but on the international platform, $1,500. Inti say 1,400 on MPA website. Now say I don't know big so they are share 16 for boa. Diesel bit more than 20. Say a Gina 1,500 so which in by May. This is a little bit more than 2023 or 22. Now, what you be or say, your mom pa say into Quaninyai. Now, your mom pa say into Quaninyai. Dear, now, she shame and I would do 2.1 into Quaninyai bit Masano. That is how policy orientation should be. You don't have to think of dependence, you think of independence. What if the war doesn't stop? What if the war doesn't stop? What options do I have? But people are here being hopeful, say, oh, your mom pay sent to Kwanibeja. How do you plan with hope?
So Trump I catch us here man about 2 to 3 weeks. So
okay, mami address one. You see, Trump is a smart guy, right? Uko American economy, critical things America the politics, pano, unemployment, and inflation, right? Or more economy no. Unemployment, say and inflation. Because more economy is a formalized economy, and more credit card no, and as interest rate and inflation very corresponding. right? Until say inflation cost through because of people have this perception, monetary economists know perception is a sikadodo na aba system no ma inflation cost through ntino. We say interest rates are increasing. Interest rate increase here, mortgage be cost through. Until American system no enche dan percent inflation be control. With the inflation this interest near campaign power hono.
Okay.
Until Trump being a smart guy no say market window the market never start maybe on Monday. No, I should have say, oh, many Iran for Nakasa. I think the first week he did the same thing.
Yes.
Many Iran for Nakasa.
Yes.
Until you say no, Ntokwane Beja. We say na fuel price not here before.
Yeah.
But okay, we ya no. The next day na Iran for Nakasa dabi. Ntokwane nyaye. Omoka we na asan kosro. So that is how Donald Trump is playing the politics. And for the first time, even let me share data. We say even WTI. Yeah. Which is a dirty crude. No crane boy a DC Brent. So it tells you that either the American system is shorting fuel or shorting production. Until shorting production, no, ama only fuel no to nibo a din as in the Brent. So say Donald Trump catch on say oh ebe jai 3 weeks and you on the determined price in there. No, or because Donald Trump the determined price are or who the Iranians are those determining the price today. Donald Trump person o can nese China to kwana jai. Iran for no ka say jai price be follow, but say Iran for no ka say to kwana jai price be jina di na.
Robin, meda say moment to tune here, but me person mutie technical phone in we na fe me bomb most because indeed omo no be kasa matem mfuati access on betuma na so muntu because there are too many accusations yeah they among say ne other people say mo de motia na say that say abrana mo betutuma no da me ko zoom na Yane Dr. Reversing upon or CEO ma Comac, Chairman of Oil Marketing Companies, ND and Como CC and Afi, Yan twice about Obe journey just exactly 9 p.m. Intino Oba. Now maybe because I really wanted to find out from him, say, yeah, Ben can say, Yanya careful. This is a bit more 20 Ghana cedis, you know. I mean, clearly, you know, see, I'm sure I bad. But I mean, you chassis and fee honor because clearly it is a 13 cities na bemuno, it is 17 Ghana cedis in and check any who I think I saw Alliance. The press statement the bar say almost 30% for transport fares, you know. Matisse cheaper to you for some be share transport minister Tuesday. After Easter break, you know, other numbers are mututum. Why you not relax? Other than moon trainer, you how I never beat me acquire.
Because you made us say, my young chair, I refrain now. If it is so, my memory as in the say, so be one more at the boy, Bema, on the boy, and now, Foodie, we never Benjamin, I'm sure I don't say, we all come up over Sudan prisons. Shelley Obing. Easter, we move to as well. This was send the message. Benjamin,
send the man, send the man.
What they are no appointment. Send the Shelley, Babandas in a chair.
Yeah.
The American say, me tear me, Benjamin, D. Say a car at a year fuel sector.
Sure.
Power sector,
yeah,
which is electricity side.
Yeah.
But you saw your car light here, and use electricity.
So we saw car light, and electricity.
And the other thing, a candle electricity near the bed 2 petrol. It is a dear, or good track or remoku now boy punch an 8153. I mean, there may understand why in a ball canoe. And you'll be the man Canada. Ya wo efficacy mu hai pacho nkane amu yusu wa hai se matwa won ka ansa na de mamu
no cre
ukoto prepaid ansa na ya ma kane no enti ka no hwan ne boy hwe energy sector living no enya no na eba amre bi a me ye hu dida me ka de late kaba arade fa de kranse o ya be dance ni ena yedi achiria ye ne owura kwakuku atin the court enya the same sa tax na ye nya free ho court ka si yenyi se ye tie ya no pa na court si ye nchi yen kwado ye benya obi ku akeka bia mai court ade a court si obi aso onye free ho na metie yewura honorable Adumako
Adumako yes
mo nka bi mai omo nka o manu ntum
ade
omo yesa akura no mo hye ya driver fo ebufu
o kan bi ama no hye
o nka bi mai akura
o se yenyi wangana
na kana no ntum me nka ya asem obeka mi mo nka bi mai akura mo yesa no mo hye ebufu ene se ora gwa ku atin amonyoko be no dom
ko ku atin pepe
wodi mi se ono ena odi yen driver fo enim court abra abandada mekasa abandada na first president Mahama government ena asasem ni si timi asem no minimu ye pa owura kwakuku atin ejidin wo kro we mpa no nenam so a me di ani mo ete drivers for change ti enkomo ni ye pa o ena change by me kai say abandada no ko fa taxi bi de beto engine so say your friend no luxurious tax
luxurious tax
ama me kura me ka say me nti brofo ni yi omo nkyire mu mra akankasam de e kana me nti ase me kai say odi ahenka ne nana ya kuradu etra peace me no mo na ye interview was ena me nko free school ni bi ekowi ase no ye bie wo car engine so a ne aka che so na ye defo because we engine capacity ni was so na yen achenkafo no na saa aka ne saa be daaye so wodu so mo gigi says ka na afi baako emma commercial transport operators owura dankana mu adjoining Benjamin sia dance for emma ye the toilet car obi didi on fa ncheme e the demonstrative akro we mbisa senti we na che se ye skafo na ne bidie car ne na se afi baako no mo gigi says ka no no mo de koi Mira ho ne pa o mo de koi omo wie ye no energy sector living na ye de koko that time no na wo to 4.5 liters na wo ya dru 1 cedi me wa eno omo buy no omo say be increase no abra adrover for grant ho hwe ade a wo wa ban mu nipa e de akokot no na owura kwakuku atin be deputy finance minister ne person no omo say amendment increases our tax no number 2 wa akokot ma judgment we nyi wasa di bia kan o no obi ba ono de on fa bi nso so enti o be kan yo na asem ne sei so omunya kofie pe omuni ya na ye Ghana fo e de Ghana fo won chirom uni za omuntimi mba ye trotro station be kan pe bi
because
ya bra omo ho ye hia omo kura in the 2024 election na ye call ye no MPP and Jimmy and Trotro Station bia kebe buso no sempa enti omo ka omo no ntum na ye ne omo bufuo no enya nwie ye wie omo sa no ma memra aban yi so President Mahama bacho ubesunti ene de odi ifunanim me kai se wo hia yo TUC building num e ma ye ka asem bi kire o ma wo hia ye bo se ye moa na wo ba obe ya man papa ye ka ne pay se you will crow we mu. What's a brother resetting Ghana agenda now? And ye tis a term be our politicians by yes, we are far away. Kwa say, yeah, Jumadeno. I was a macho man. One real win ye. Kwa pay at the dears, we are not the cobo, will be home by. Sabine is our tree. Oh, another time my hair, Jumano, no pejada dear. No better bobo. What they can wait for Mogado, or be crying your battery. And I catch her says, how bass uncle for she say, who know Mubidi. But your simpies would know one cancer. If you cry a ray, the national service, mammy.
Pass one gift.
Yes, they were free gift or Warabuaje. I'm more born on a big po edin mewa. So mo bass uncle for the dear. Maybe in case me church but as many others the trebia be case as them so. If you as a dear name. Kwado ya waya no mo catch say in can na wo yi CG nsem no. Omunye omunhye yi enti ya de amankrofo ye from PDS. Me case owura Benjamin sia sorry gina krom wa say emu na ho eno mudidi ye nyina ya tem. Enti senne e ka beda enkane aso ye ho a PDS na trotro driver bi ka ho. Eno pa ho a Energy Minister Otisu Sisi be ka kire say ECG omo cables bi ayira. Acho omo container ne bi wo. Omo dey say mo ban new prime station ya. Yes station ya no wai. Mo container ne bi sisi ho. Enti omo ni mo bo aka no because trotro driver for the pamu galamsey for a yen go to ombutum galamsey. Bia nye ye hwe. Ene me no kasai. Ufri enkra ha e ko hwifu praso. Wo betra police barrier mako 27. Yen kasai nye because of armed robbers nti e no mo ye ne sa. Ne mo pamo armed robbers no mo moji embotom ska. What do say 5 cedi no mo je ne o me ko 10. Bungunta we re nhwa de. 5 Ghana cedi. Multiply by 27. Kwado na ohwe made me borrow o la girls you. Oro wa han ko abo me container that 5 cedi multiply by 27. Ama 135 cedis. Mewa. Ndi na na otu no say o coach for price wa enye wona afuru be say.
Over 270.
270. 270 cedi.
Yeah.
Trotro driver load free a coach for price wa bawo. Sika posi Jeffrey Nsemuni. Enki ayeye dadado se ne Benjamin kasi ayeye no. Sika no ba bia fani o. Mba cho minimu wakatua. Obi akọ 50 price wa ba 270. O de yemfa de say month ni nyina wa anya adwuma se we adwuma 20 days. Multiply by 20. Ba cho 5,400. We shembotom bro Easter imu a. Kamenya boga. Enka that start we na me ba betena wanim. We no posi ajeko obi anka na hwe aban so abegina yeso eje 1 cedi abra yeti krombu a mo amunim de waboka no eyefe yenhwe nyame anim pa sa de di yeye enti yeye wonim say commercial transport operator data kura ye bro 3 million
o pro be 3 million
ye bro ye twi commercial cars a free taxi o si ye car trader ye bro 3 million taxi de so no nko a le mum trotro be na ni meet atiquator car be na ni meet enti hwe se trotro any atiquators no eye 1 million pa any meet say eye 2 million yente aban unemployed na ye kan bi enti wo de wa hwe ya be ma se na meti okro we mu na se me ni adwuma ye na me se me ye de da onyini se metima ye de si wo Morocco ni bi ode Patrick Guru me metimaye we welcome dem na ye mu bi ya create adwuma ni ye ya ni ye jai obi mo ofasika no ko ye via ya se enye hwe mu nkora mu nkotua enye common driver for na edi we bi di ya uzuze hwan na edi bi di no enti me de ma se ma me kan say
all right
e na ho kire aba ahohene nzu nti na eja moyire enye na e bo ka no nti yenyi sa 1 Ghana cedi no enfri ho na mo nsefu e no so te na o mso mbesa de abayire ya yeni asem bia aka na sa bre pa de ye wa hu ye hia mu pa ti sempanyifo behwe na o mo aso ano a me se be boa ye nyina
all right but I say me ko zoom sisi na me Dr. Rivers no pon wedi nkomansa na me ba pa Willie hono but text messages na bie primo so good evening Mr. Host, my name is Joe from Tema. My reliable information is that next week cement manufacturers will increase the price of cement on also Nadia or they buy and it says please Mr. Host, you're also a Ghanaian, so if someone says in front of you to tell him the truth so that they will stop the politics of lies about fuel matter. You know the causes of it. But I'm sure that's what they are saying. Causes now no more so I don't know exactly what you want me to say about it. And to know, be specific exactly what you intend, to say. Now, they made to me, and then it says that the government is supposed to render an account on the 1 cedi charge on a liter of fuel in 2025. I want to know if the government has done that. they have not done that because they know that Ghanaians can't do anything. This one is from Kwame Takwa and Odi way. By my main consume na fe mene Dr. Rivers Senendi and Komo. So Doc, what I mean ka memwajo by Kesben TV. So this is the second time we're having discussions on this matter, but it's clearly selling us is Nyema and Shada and Kuye. Just as I said earlier on, some countries have decided to reduce the hardship by taking certain taxes off or more fuel margins and I said taxes in a war was so no. But yet in Komoya na ora Beninsia catcher say if we are not lucky, we might be seeing a diesel shooting to almost about 20 Ghana cedis. I've also heard maybe petrol might be shooting down to 15 Ghana cedis if one no twaso senior air corner. Is it possible? Say a bit to me, sir.
Me da se unia na me chia Benjamin Siane of our mama mania January for Kasayi. Benjamin said the beginning could no problem. Possible, possible. So now the average price we use now is totally different from the spot price that's a year international benchmark. The international benchmark price no, or more trigger no. So if you trigger a price today on a spot, it is far above what the average MPA will publish on their website. And I think that's the more reason why we are very lucky at this particular point that we work with a year the averages within a window, you know. So called Nigeria is here, say what na Dangote refinery in the world.
Yeah.
And so fuel price increase now is higher, far above Ghana's increase in terms of percentage. Because they don't use those averages to work. They trigger price per spot. And then I would say boy because your fuel price and realistic. And can we talk about actually it is a Benjamin Siaka say 20 cedis per liter. Yeah, the upcoming window. It's possible because you know the better how the dollar will behave and how progressive our the international benchmark price is. As we speak now, what do you call it? ICE, or let me say Plat. You know, using Plat. Plat is around 1,003 opening of today, this morning when I checked. You know, and ideally, if you are looking at an average around 1,000. And when the spot today is 1,004, 1,003, then it means that if this continues for the whole week, because the pricing window ends on the 11th or 9th, one of them, I have to check. Then that will determine the selling window from the 16th. You understand what I mean? The here Matthew Bia one city yenyi free so. Minister so baba kasa says o yifi so a do so baba obi ka say text message treasure any other na abandon timi be kan kire say skase ne wanya free one city no na dem dey yenie because the other day you can one city but it's more than one city, it's almost 2 cities because the one city was just an additional levy that was added. Additional amount that was added to an existing levy, so it's nothing new or nothing different, you know. This is the reason why the chamber last year was asking for a sunset clause. In marketing, or in a quasi market like oil and gas downstream, if you don't have certain limits and sunset clauses, you leave yourself to whatever the market will tell you to do, or the behavioral mismanagement or management of prices. You know, you could say, okay, say price it drew 16, 15, 17 now. This one CD will be taken off, or it will be halved. You mentioned yes, Namibia has given 50% this. Off the tax, 50% tax slash on fuel prices. We've seen other countries in Africa do it now as we speak. Country be say Kenya, Tanzania, the omunya fuel economy now. Omega say omu discount be on tax. It say say as we speak today, yenya fuel. Now yentimi entimi mwa. Well, anybody is yan kind no. Actually, abo yehwa aban minister be kasa say omu yifiri so a enye ye na enye no enye me no adwuma because ye be ka sabamba kasa obeya obeye obekasa onye minua ya ka say Mahama be share omu TC building Benjamin Sian obeka tiro during campaign o share downstream players BDCs or OMCs or all stakeholders were there Elisa Hotel. Right? And you catch any problems. And I'll share about say, Oba have a dialogue with us. Even say, Oba wants to buy, there was no dialogue. What I say? There was no dialogue. Eka say, somebody wants to deny, but yeah, you cost strike. And so now, or more chance. What must I say? 80 dialogue in the Minister frame meeting, Finance frame meeting. Whatever they've discussed, up to now, some be free to some free to some more I'm not do 29 and I say 25 and no more free to you know you higher. But let me say something. The crude oil market business no and kenke business at Mpembe Bre and I'm for now to compare crude oil product to kenke and I'm here straight. The geopolitics in the oil and gas business supersedes any political party in Africa. Now, if I'm going to know, price now yet tough free and you know determine. Yet this is so bro, net petrol bro, so price now ye bro, so and you know determine. Now, quite now buy. And then now to find and can't find what they now use. Don't you have demand? 2025. Our report is coming out next week. You see that the demand for diesel and petrol in Ghana increased by 15% plus. Electric vehicle, if it's in Ghana, we increased by 15%. So here this January to March alone, the increase is also huge. It tells you that we are as a continent or as a country, no, we are just being proactive or being reactive. Let me say no. So we are being reactive, not proactive. You understand? I say mbani I can't gidi and a tonya jume and a sentio go and ask sentio price today. Locally produced or refined crude oil product. Kuna go or more price. If you go change there, you free Amsterdam over. What can I say? And we need to be careful about when we come here and talk. And I'm born Benjamin CSC studio. Our couple, you know, Casasa, so Obianti, Opayao. I don't say Obinyedi, you know. What I say? Casa Obianti. OTM, okay, last 2 weeks, maybe I'm going to say, my fire you in your politics.
Yeah.
In your politics. And I don't like it when people say, Charlie, it goes beyond you. It goes beyond Mahama. It goes beyond Akufo-Addo. Eti man can say my yet be defending. Now what determine crude oil price? And who is honorable Japan determine crude oil price? So let's set policies and have regulation that will support our own market and GDP. Benjamin said some of your kind many are drink 100% because you see because you discuss social comedy. You too fango. And I thought the last week said, and you know, Christ said, Omunti refine it. They can't refine it. But where is the investor confidence? Let me tell you the truth. Now we say, here na person omufango beko I'm on refining. And then India, and no, because they depend solely on the Middle East energy market. And no omunya fango no o refine it. Ultimately, the biggest refinery in the world, the top 5, or India. And I said, don't go to Aba. Now I said, don't go to Aba. Say, me talk my Ghana because all my neighbors. I brought China for open. Let me tell you, the market dynamics is changing for the next 2 months. And if this war persists, we should be very careful how things will go for Africa. Because let me tell you what is happening now. Now, the Asian market, the Asian market in terms of the purchasers, the buyers, are now looking at the same place Ghana or the Western corridors are also looking for fuel. And that's why the prices are going up, because Oba offer higher premium.
Okay.
And I tell Ghana and Yesu price we need to price well, because if you don't price well to make sure the BDCs can get revenue enough to refill the tanks. What will happen is say, and it's very crucial.
Wow. So, Doug, my main business has some way. The argument that, because you did mention the dollar and then the benchmarks and all that, if your dollar or probably the cedi, as we say, is stable, it makes reason to say and shoot to that speed with that speed is it right? See a bit me akasa say you see I stable kakra the 10 11 and the price hike na ki susu say bano entumi bana.
It's yes and no. It's yes and no. Say what kind of report na ye publish here now? Who say the CD appreciated by 1.25%. What I say?
Yeah.
So it is true from that angle. Nanka CD not depreciate here anka ebeko from more, no doubt. So we give credit to the fact that the CD appreciated within the window where we were projecting the price, because the fuel had been priced already, and now we are selling it.
Okay.
So within that time, the CD appreciated by 1.25. I just have to check my figures right, but yes, it's appreciated. And then also we got hit by the global market to about 20% and all that. But like I always say, now marketing companies are more higher grade. It's a full price. It's a baby. You see, this is the first time. Go and check your books. The two top oil marketing companies, and China, the first April number, almost the same price. Okay. Almost China first April number. Almost the same Monday.
Yeah.
None of mountain. Din. And easy because I'm told that the spot price indication, is prevailing over the averages. So we come and talk here average, but the BDCs are triggering daily prices. It's an overcall, baby. Now price here, SREF here 12, overcall channel 13. Within the same selling window. 80 over 2 over 2. Look at the competition. The competition within the market na aboye and aboye nyina kan sa dia anka be cost na obeka ye Christopher kra e bompa e dem da say one mother na my name story. It one way or the other we believe in God, right?
Yeah.
As Africans. 80 ye bompa e na bo say jam say ko si Trump any yifo no Al Jazeera say your problem say Iran or mu jalo we ro because our margins are being swayed off.
Wow.
Our margins are being carried out.
Wow.
Because of competition.
Wow.
Well, I read there. Yeah, Trade Minister of Finance. Also make Kasai. Say the Energy Minister Kasai. Na ana to force ID. O make Kasai yentie no. Obe ya na onyi. Na yentie so onyi ya kind of this kind here. What is here?
Yeah.
Obe yiswa
Okay. All right, so you better say, but what be going to me say, are the drivers justified in saying say, "Sisi ade ameomo they will want to increase fares. Hopefully by Tuesday we will hear too many increases when it comes to Niyama. Sachet water, just as you said, I want to take a lead. They're also telling us sachet no Niyama. Nina so if Middle East anyway, the polymer and all that Nina if Middle East shape and so no maka say bia omo head the year there's some the year. We are not feeling it. I mean, don't Ghanaian buying a common sachet water has been increased. I mean, government can't do anything about it. A driver for your buy mamone pawulimo, they are yearning to increase it. Should they or they should hold on?
Bruh.
Reverend.
What you doing?
Dog meeting.
But you wako takwa dada.
Me kwa takwa da chekakra.
Who do say your Ghana rubber plantation or?
Yeah.
It's rubber now add a free Middle East. Never. You see, let me tell you something. We all sometimes take advantage of situations. What I say, we all do. Ghana, for example, unlike Nigeria, we anima bokostra. I mean, put of bokostra. Now you're increasing. Back for ma, you're decreasing. Now if you pay excuses, now if you're stabilizing. After fuel price cost to be ma, I say cost to. Nay, you say about from the young for more. And then yes, self-inflation. So if you the economists, this is self-inflation. It's not adjusted inflation. One person na what inflation neighbor. Fertilizer, what's fertilizer has been affected. Also, you see, Yakachi Nigeria say Omunjai gas flaring. Now Yakachi Ghana say also gas flaring Omunjai because we could produce fertilizer from gas, natural gas. Let me tell you, Africa exports 80 to 85% of hydrocarbon out of the continent, as if there's no need for it. We export cocoa, we export everything in the raw state. Fertilizer, how can you? Ghana, Africa, you can produce fertilizer and even feed the whole world because of the gas we are blessed with. Talk about Algeria, Libya, Nigeria, Angola. Today, Mozambique, Tanzania are coming up. But believe me, they are all looking at LNG export. Senegal, for example, I cry for them. They import LNG for power production and they export LNG. Funny, very, very funny. So for me, it's about what are we doing with our natural resources. The dependency ratio for products and specifics from everywhere, you name it, doesn't. Russia, Ukraine war, you see wheat free Ukraine. Now, please, so you see, we can give reasons for increasing everything. Driver 4 in there, driver 4.
Yeah.
What I say? Also a driver, but there's a commercial driver and there's a private driver. So there's the commercial drivers who are speaking now. Other than that, we are all being affected. Mikai say, Monday and Tuesday, Anna, my wife say, Uncle Felix cast off you in our tank because fuel price said they ever cost. But by Friday now, son, what can I say?
Yeah.
When they are over them, it's sort of for there. We have no argument because one of the most important factors in their price determinant is fuel. So, you have no choice.
But no, come on, what do you mean my hair? What do you mean my hair?
Yeah, hey, Brian, not watch Lana. And have you any catch a seaboard? And you come on, because seaboard is not for my hair. Let me tell you. Yeah, you can talk SRF no free seaboard, I mean BDC for no while. When we add the taxes, na ye tonwa, na say ya fa hwe kwabon anto so a yewu. And the Jamaica, so if you pick 1 liter of fuel, 70 to 75% of the price goes to the BDCs for SRF, landing cost of operations, any other day. Now taxes and levies, enquire 20 to 25%. 20 to 25%. The margin for OMCs and dealers is just 3 to 5%. It's yen yen. Then come back my with our members 3 to 5%. No, you used to crampoa, bra, unyashi also.
Very interesting.
The taxes and levies on fuel price in Ghana are too much. Go to Kenya, compare the tax and levy component in terms of percentage, and compare to what we have in Ghana. When Bloomberg came to my office, I told them we have 245 oil marketing companies and LPG marketing companies in the country. They were laughing at me. They asked me, is it the whole Africa? I said, no, this is Ghana alone. Go to Nigeria, land mass, bigger than Ghana, population, huge. They don't have that number of oil marketing companies in Nigeria. What are you talking about? So you see,
wow.
we need to solve the fundamental problems. And there are a lot. And we don't like it when issues come and you call us. A time will come, because you have a casa, about own, the way I know you.
Interesting. Doc, if I say only a dean como Dr. Reverson upon you know a dean como the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies and I know a dean como and have a wonderful evening and then happy Easter in advance. You why na you be Easter near dean como pa yada see pa dog. Yeah, that's it. Memna nafi Pauli maminti because the corner there ora ben bibi odi enenam no me the reality is serious. I mean, from what even doctor is saying in the crowd, it's very, very serious. So we say good evening, sir. I am IGP from Cape Coast. God bless the man who said that for drivers because I am a driver. God bless you. I'm sorry, Yalberma, Asemna Okayano, and also Air Force on into also Nadia or Debayano. Pauli, I mean, now doctor said, Mudika, Samuel Tumwa. A bit me about so, but mobile to Manamuntum. What for? Oh, and I meant Mamuntum.
Benjamin said, my next win will be 20%.
Yes.
A booby mukura. I mean, chatty for. I mean, share passing your four wood to Quine and I say, yes, Rome. Oquano. Yaye bridge, yes, full bridge, you know. Now one for Okola pass a me far from. Eba sisi a poku ase if you no kra ma traffic block overhead na se wo mo from o mo ja na wo mo fa fam misre na wie Benjamin bibi sa ase ba kom sisi nka dollar ni na 15 cedi a nka 1 liter no do say if you calculate
Obe check what they did you
go. Yeah. The person who baby a banner who any baby ono ya filian. Any baby then to years or 2 years yen ebeboyen. If say driver for no, you cast a lot for na ye betum. Eh yen da na ye boa. If say nya tum 10% kura na ye de bebo memu an ano be yen.
Yeah.
Now so you hear baby a petrol ni kona yentimi nyina no. Oman panye share ni bo ni ma bebre hu. So bi a wa fa Ghana sika 1 cedi. Oba obetwena so. Isi me no kase. Ye yako 2 years. Next year the election year. Ntimi fansan ko bia. Isi ni wo mafi asi pie babontin ebe press conference no. Wo mo so wo mo fa issue bia anto say enke na ye be ni say ana say na emom no o manya political point ene wo mo ena driver for there ye ni hwe ya ye be ka ne say wotuma ye so ye beto lord fini ma me 1 cedi na meka wasem kakra ye mi say total 18 cedi ye 1 cedi ni firma e baba 17 na mo still lord fini ye beto na yentu ye beto and if you say you betum ne be na once did ne bedam a na nkofa dum so ma anaso wo mu fi say wo yifiri ho na dum so madia eno de wo ma ne wo yifiri ho wo mu fi say wo mu yifiri ho na dum so ne besa na badia because ade ba ko e ha me e wo papa jo mama ho no say dum so ne de e ka ho asem pre na ya achichire ntimi pesa sa ade be de e be ba energy minister me mo kokko e be di Easter o ba street light ni na se en so bio enti me da me asem ne se se o keka ne ma bom na won be ko 20% na next window no da ba fe betima ka se be nya sika enya percentage sika
as in 20 cedis per liter
20 cedis per liter anya sa
yeah
enti se e ba ne sa ne ya tuma bia next week ya tuma 20% next an kwa e be sa tum ne ya tuma aba no wa hwe se ne o ma no bitima gina fa so e be bu afa so ntimi nya hwe bi o se no ko fa bancha ba ne boy de se si ame no ka se dollar ikura nko so yi abuzo ka na e ma fi ase pida
se si
me na me chira we anzo wan ka wam kra den kom dollar ni yi ne ma ko fa ba no dollar mo yeah anzo fi ase pida because omzo wo ya tutu petrol ka na de ko fa ne ma na fi tema ba
e charge mo
o tira me kan anwumre ya me ba sisi e madina drama se fra me se wo me bo wa na wonam kwa ho wo matutu
oh already
o fra me ka chem se wuli wo matutu nti yen nda nam se wo munya bote ye be chese nkrofo ni nyina obi a obe fa bra ye ntum no nanso bisa so be ne de nsu eye 3 city se e ko 5 city makoto o se ma me mento so na de maton enti me de na meka ne se meka to man pregni se obi be bua no amamu ama na kwanima obi a won yemfum so obiara esese ye twe na so no emra ni na wonya titimachi mam no bi nso titimachi mam no na mai sa ye nso ye wo fam no ye ntiti obi anchi ye de mra na ye adwuma se ye betolo because e ba se ye ni ahihye ni di ato de dewo
ma hihye ato
ya na to obi o ka nonka brother ye ni minister ko share de ko to na ni minister na kenene ye pese ni hia
yeah
ye forso ya na kwa ni se mpanyinfo bi eso no won ka ho bi etukwan nti nya botre na holidays no entwem Tuesday enti me de me se mpanyinfo no won de won se won twu obi aso obi na kan asem atama se mo se father for otwem koi kufu adoba obechiri mienu ana me nsam ya tom wotra me kan ozo asamba na so so be go nsam sa na unzi unye biribi a nipa di wachi benye no so yes se de ya so se ye bre ho ase ne ye support ani maza first window ne twem no se ke to lo film
yeah
and one friend one yen kasai and ye gitum eti na me count in the next time ne ko shia bio na se petrol na dru se na ka 20%
20 Ghana cedis
bene 20 ni dia me kuma kura yate me den ka me nim se bedu meyande no nanka abafom ndi ka driver for ke bebre ho asen kakran na koduro yes abafom a because edru ba bi no omampanyina na do frɛ no first house so me pam chawo me bia di na duru de me sremo mo man be se trips na 1 month e be bafom yetie no if you buy ya be kase no enti me form ampanyina no si fem na waka na si tie ni tie no na ye enti do set am na e fi asese bafom enti kamera o ma driver for say be nya botre but en she say be na wo mo de agu fem a bit ma boy and a second enkrofo atwama wo ye campaign wo mo enum bi ka wo ni emu bi ya ni awuji mo say me ma me tie kurase me papa tie kurase me so me fie kurase e bai nti mo ye din se mo ni e nani mo kan se mo be se o ma ni sika na o mampani joma ma so ba se enkrofo no wo beto o ma so wa jisika na man na ba pem ne untimi nya hwe e ka so untimi nya hwe wo mo se bi de e court but unya hwe ye wuni here
mate Teacher Eric aka Obiara Hiasika Manson say some countries have reduced their petrol prices despite Iran-American war. But in Ghana, President Mahama and his NDC have started increasing fuel price in Ghana. Why? Also, Nedia or they buy and no. Me wo text messages be ewa hanom na fi mentwa so ewa hanom na menhwe senior AC Aircoy. Okay, I'll come back to these ones. Inflation is down, but things are still getting worse. Also, Nedia or they buy and no. Oraben.
Yeah.
Na dog can't say say why is the Minister for Finance Nkasai? I mean, what is happening is critical. Now could be him say and by this time then can she be far in advance to tell us say it do say this is what we want to do. Say president is just proposing or probably anticipating say okay say ban say be share na you who the be afan. Look I say we are not getting them to speak to us to tell us say these are the measures they towards this year. Why do you think it's so?
I think the current NDC government way, the president is more engaging, more consulting than his ministers. President, you know, or pese ushia or new dinkita hundie than the ministers, no. Maybe I don't know whether it's arrogance of power or too much knowledge, assumed or presumed knowledge or modern so mukuranti. They don't need any stakeholders or better or right? And mostly I don't like comparison, but I think say bibi ohona eya e wase yeka. In 2022, after 24th Russian invasion and I say attack on Ukraine, somewhere around April, and a bonus started say because now bonus around 6 Ghana cedis per liter. By April now started around 8 and 9 Ghana cedis per liter. Honorable Matthew Poku Prempe, then time of the former organization COPEC, invited stakeholders, CSUs, the then senior was in a heady seaboard.
Yeah.
And Mr. Ajimandu and a heady Association of Oil Marketing Companies and reversing Oha, a friend of Comac. And other sector players are now very critical to your petroleum pricing. Even GPRT phone in America, Matthew Poku Prempe invited. Titi ya no munsem ene yedi nkita hodie right Emma Duncan then na on lead copet nti o kire de wo say ye ofa bi owie no sign invite ye me koshia the then finance minister Ken Oforiatta hona argument in the by position the by say because of say ye seed na start depreciating no e wo say ye ma bidex no affordable cities,
okay.
Dollar terms, and very affordable, so that on bit media crap product, nabana product bono I foka kramaye. In April, Honorable Ken Oforiatta started what we call the forex auction on a BOG, Bank of Ghana. Almost started some auction dollars, at comparatively cheaper rate to the buyers to import the product. And I think in April they gave them about 80%, almost 85% of their import cover. Now very cheap. So engagement it brings results and it brings a lot of interventions that be a wound by industry no a bit material. Unfortunately for this government, President no person engaged but the ministers engaged. I think I've met the president twice. Last year Michiano. Now no Misai Kushano. But me share finance minister Krada. Me share energy minister. Energy minister has never engaged any of us in the space. I don't know so or engage being privately there and I don't know. But in terms of formal engagement of sector players contributing to national development, especially when it comes to petroleum pricing, or finance minister. So I don't see them engaging enough, and that is why already one Ghana city neighbor one Ghana city 95%. If they had engaged, at least and give it to me, I contributed in certain ways a bit to me abua. Now two, if they were even engaging, right? Yes, but they say don't see stable. But if you look at the data carefully, if you look at the data as published by MPA, the city is depreciating. City need depreciating, right? So because it's still yes, comparatively stable compared to the previous government. But in the last two windows, city need depreciating. Now call MPA website. They are using 11 Ghana cedis 10 pesos to the dollar or even 11. But in somewhere in February, they were using 1080, 1070. So the city is depreciating, right? So if the city is depreciating, and city depreciation also forms part of the price of the output and as a price of the product.
Okay.
Why be to me? I'm making sure say cheaper cities for the BIDEX, BDC for no.
Okay.
Should we consider the forex policy? Because they say more about 25%, sometimes less than 25% of the import cover. Should we increase that because gold prices at the dollar be braver? You bet me increase the omodi import or the omodi tono at comparatively cheaper rate so that the end price no are very cheaper. Right? Can we consider that? Engage Obia say any no idea need to my because we need solutions. Now utie Breves and mostly we can say Kenya a short product.
Yes,
maybe
short,
Bangladesh,
yes,
Sri Lanka. You see, most of the countries that are shorting product, our countries are not dependent much on these areas. Southwestern Asia, no, and that's the Middle East, you know.
Okay.
Because Kenya faces that direction.
Okay.
Obebo kasi obeko for product that free Amsterdam. Tona or the abefa abra distance, you know, from Babi or Southwestern Asia, much cheaper, and premiums no be cheaper. Until na ba Kenya mo face problem, but you face problem. Your problem face your price.
Okay.
This is a problem your price. How do we solve the pricing problem? And if they engage us, we will find a way to solve the pricing problem. They say a tax no, and they say be a free swap. Ye free swap, you be just cover him. That be a catch a minia. Paul no money other say hey. So because it's scanning kruma or what? What do you say? Yes, you 2 pound go to be a kruma.
Yeah.
Inti ko here budget mo. Your budget no ye ko tu say ko ton ye fango no. Even though Ghana be left April way, ye be left 1 million barrels April way. Ye ko tu say ye ko ye cotton year no 76, which is a 7-year moving average. $76 per barrel. Ne product price no average let say $100 per barrel. Say $100 per barrel nya excess of about $24 per barrel. Right? $24 no you project say ye Ghana benya no about 6 million barrels. Until multiply $24 per barrel no by 6 million. That's in excess of $180 million. Faba sidimu, enyeska kuma na unya no. So you're also getting a windfall. Unya faso. Even though o for no use finished product no petrol ni diesel no, but raw product no crude no, also unya faso. Unya bebre. So say o might be I quite remember say me OPEC no, we develop a framework and a model be say we can have a dual pricing regime. And that dual pricing regime no simply means that say a cost will German so because of some fast now be no way tax ni be free so now what the says can e dey close to the fiscal loophole and as a gap na be create no what the says can be face because you didn't even project for that money enye sika aka ope e na abama this abama wa you tax ni be free so never say sika no kwhye ho.
Okay.
So when I was at COPEC, I think that was a pricing model and the then Minister of Finance and he bought into it. Just that politicians no pay free because on canvas we now no. You know, yes, we go tie you and ye free so your power sector no bedum but unya mfaso. Why are you not talking about the windfall you are getting? Right? You push that idea and you say omo be engage na. We can still look at some of these models. In formulating models, this dual pricing regime comparing the price of the product to the international market price of crude. Now get the windfall no abe cushion. Say eba say esan e kofuma na dey asan ye free so abribia no kra ma onya stable prices. E wo system no na aboa ama bibia koyie. There's also argument with among some of the transporters that e wo say kra uniform price in Okroma. Obi catch me panyi bi catch me say fuel price no total ton 1850 diesel. Goil need start on 1710. Nemom say ye shebo a bi a yemfa goil de na shebo the total de na shebo. Because mu nyina bo epe.
Okay.
Anambwa.
Yeah.
Obi kai because trotro bi abo epe. But enye trotro bi na to free one station. Obi to free abodin, obi to free abofo. Nti adentina say trotro bi abo epe a yemma ye fuel no so bo nyepe.
It makes sense.
Me panyi bi kasa asem no. Say trotro bi a charge pe, obi adentina fuel ni nyina bo nyepe. Because sometimes one plan, you go commercial the same price.
The same price, yeah.
Until adentina fuel born in nyepe.
Adentina nyepe, Raben.
You see, the market is very partially deregulated because the entire nyepe margins now you don't play with. Uche reverse now, me there be a price ni bia. Some of the prices are mystery prices and are miraculous prices. Bonu bino, send the bino share bono. Osha, udwe ho on tiase. Who send the mutimi share bono sa. Right? Because ne obi na no maybe say Bidex and they say omo boy saying for example we catch him say diesel ne Bidex price na say BDC for no more import to ba omo crafra mo na ba say omo ton no 13 Ghana cedi 50 pesos. Okay. Until the enye mass wa 13 Ghana cedi 50 pesos. Never if anything 4 Ghana cedis 25 ka ho. O the 13 Ghana say buy the not on 13 na. Never saying 13 Ghana cedis, never 4 Ghana cedis 25. That is the tax levies and margins I owe diesel.
So okay.
What they come here price I obenya. 17 something. This will be only 17 tenner. But anyway, because because also we are big no, omutiminya discount because
okay.
This also no benya discount abia obit what time money 13. Na no cry what money 13 now dey 14 4 Ghana cedis 25 no ka ho a no cry 17.25. So sometimes the price no until no say is not realistic no.
Yeah.
I don't know what okay, so total ebia one arrangement business model, right? And price and the same year companies in big so the companies will collapse because the way the aggressive competition in industry mono. I can say for no crave pricing lower pan and year money daching. Let's be frank with it because
is it because of the pricing?
Yeah, they are playing with their pricing. We see total strategy no. Will be a business strategy. But Total has realized that the product is an inelastic product. Economics, you can say inelastic. Nebo no kosra say omo beto no omo so ntike sesa omo nti who say product near inelastic no we creative brand for say the product near quality nti ono still pricing the product now amount for ba beto kakra no ba beto no obenya ne mfa so boom and okay Total in terms of publishing profit 2024 as the time I looked Total published a profit of 270 million Ghana cedis.
Wow.
Even though no number one well number one but well profit no do 50 million Ghana cedis.
Okay.
Right? So Obiano strategy and aside that no Total no operated 3 models. Or Coco, which is company owned company operate, or Kodo, company owned dealer operate, or Doko, dealer owned company operate. Like these are models in the sector. Nti ohwe the model no operate na say wantimi antono sa boya ni dealer bi be short ni dealer ni nyeska.
Okay.
Nti na make say even akesifo no kra no the way they are pricing some of them are likely going to lose out of the market. Because dealers ndo na between and me share Star will start to say me share oji gold dealers bebree oji dealers ni bebree you get it. That is what is going to happen in future in the market because say you heard the Sarminia nti Total the end bo no was through because Total no has dealers also otuomo and on the margin also oje and we had a share price I think it's around 40 cedis today per share nti also otua dividends nti ono on person better so and our creating a shaman on the product near quality into only pokuma bi aso better I think say or rank sieve on the radar only pokuma bi so better only sika oni obi ani asem but others are also thinking that yen money pam beto bebre ye de yen tie bo so na yen omoto ne bebre ebenya sika but profitability you are not making it. Profitability so right so many invest in here Dr. Ponya Adrian said okay say price is realistic and sometimes it's them na me figures now me twe ho sometimes team say go for na marine gas oil no to maye and no to premix na dem maye like because if you look at some of the sometimes if you, maybe too they are doing under delivery because Ghana Statistical Service my TV na me can you see in December 2025 Ghana Statistical Service Ghana Standard Authority work no ma dey show mu dem no dey work na see work no mo here no almost 60% of our OMCs in Ghana are under delivery. Under delivery nature say ukoto 1 cedi a enduru liter 1 cedi na omoto ma 60% of them endu instead of some be ya hu OMCs no na ya tu ya hu for OMCs no omo dey docket na kosie e no ma sanction OMCs na jiska show butom. That is it. So so sometimes when I see some of the pricing, I also think that maybe some of them have adjusted their prompts in such a way that a proper adjustment, at prices are making. I mean, we need to look at all these scenarios in the market.
I said about your maybe somebody is asking, let him clarify this. Are all fuel of the same quality? And then again, why do some fuel stations have premium fuel like the V-Power?
So the V-Power is a research octane number. It's a fuel, no? The standard research octane number, which is the RON, is RON 91, right? For petrol.
Okay.
Now petrol no, your higher RON no crab to me called RON 98, but a premium RON, which is the research octane number 95. Into V-Power is RON 95. V-Power near total for Vivo. I think Shell for the Shell, and a total for I think one friend Total Excellium or something. Ron 95 no bia oni din of friend no.
Okay.
Go for a friend Ron 95.
Okay.
Right, but companies no are brandy or more higher premium runs no 95.
Okay.
Nti eno the research of chain number no and higher because standard near 91 in Ghana here.
Okay.
Say it go 95 in other countries they even do 98.
Okay.
Nti premium near 95. Nti 95 no ne bo be din kakra asen wa yi no. Oko diesel e was 10 levels and sometimes sulfur content levels for diesel and also check the qualities.
Okay.
We no free wa there are others also add some additives. Ye nyina ekoto free BDC we ho but ye kokoton no ye de bibi kakra framu na amaye de no ne dwumadie no atumpon kakra na akoye nim kakra. So additive mixture no so it mean influence price out and as a price of the product on the market. But the additives what because it must meet certain standards Ghana standard authority. I establish fuel quality there nka yensusu ye mu no de e wo se ni nyina epe but OSP report amaye wo se ebinum timi diabetic premix at the bus system because over 2025 OSP second half of the year from July to December or chi companies we are or say companies no premise condensate marinata oil obodino marinata oil condensate also the kuba bi no or diabetic the kuba before and say diabetic condensate condensate no another petrol but ne research obtain number no quite lower sometimes 76 sometimes 88 or even lesser than that nti obetimi de bibia blend petrol kakra won kakra na obeto ama as petrol wahu nti OSP ma report on that OSP say my say marine gas oil which used to be subsidized and also no about 16 OMCs be diabetic marine gas oil no ebeto nti omo diabetic which means and also no gas oil enye gas oil enka was a vehicle use
okay
gas oil was ships they also use and I know they subsidizing nti and also no mo dia frame no mo beton amaye and OSP na kanti the quality in the enka was but based on OSP no report any other report may say product na ebi nya quality ebi nim frame no mo beton amaye.
Okay, all right. Ya mama ye pon 2 minutes na fe ye fancy nti no sisi ana by Tuesday GPRTU for say on be share transport minister. Yes.
I think that if you look at price pricing of petroleum kwadia because within the 2 windows or 3 windows diesel increasing by about 49%, almost 50%.
Okay.
Because okay price flow na MP code 2 year in the last 2 windows na 1142 11 cedis 42 pesos per liter for diesel. But now I mean say price flow MP code 2 year 1710.
Okay.
Within that period no diesel and price are cost by about 50%. This is and your cost of operations are cost 50% the omodika. But mo fanche mo years ka for.
Yeah, mo fanche ni enkwai. Just a minute on that.
Because you a program we soon. Na Mr. Ura Philip Tieku.
Yeah.
Star Oil man.
Yeah, Star Oil.
CEO.
Yeah, CEO.
So me so program yesterday.
Yeah, gentleman.
Ya ton 90.4 million liters. The entire guys ya ton no. Okay. Kromwa, this is the time. Yeah, driver for a big good bidja. And you'll be in a big guru, yeah, in a big good bidja. Catch a driver for say, Pianto full and freestyle oil. What if they are factory also eating gun and you catch a driver for no? I call 5 regions. Yeah, free pim. The idea is I record your rent. Get it. Munina moko for full free Amsterdam Edinburgh. Obisimi na me big. Sanko for those who be come no nko an test akwan no so.
Yeah.
Wo short over there. Star Oil buy na hu say eh. Sa ebi ba so mo bedwene. Ne manfo ho. Edinti sa na no mo beko. Wonim say enne me no ka say. Spare parts kra dodo na driver for yanko obiemu ya penkrofo se tie o de fabra ne ento o betra on dem na wa ma boss ndi ukra ye tufu se o be bie insurance company amaya ni aka che ya driver for nyina so bie
on betwa media no
e wo ho wonim se ya anya ni sa kromua ebi mo aye se ye nya ni se ye se de be amanyosem no mo mudi bone ne wo ho
yeah
ene na ekum o man no
yeah
enti ya de yetu ye hofo because we umre extra
yeah so cry
na mesre on say ya fele e ka ma ye ne de be fa kwa so and then me ko din ko mo bi wo West Hills mo achi ho Wajo.
Yeah.
So would free a year more what they ba Atala, what they ba Old Barrier or Rebel Hole. In so to an acquaintance, so pretty a credit acquaintance. The best paying for
okay.
People no.
All right.
And so the free people so neighbor. Into a man quiet our drainage na your quine or ya na chinnet no, at the abe fail quine or ewa, na quine chuki. Time be a mutu gata kesi some de bois. And so, and the tiani be feeling na in your baby inco.
Okay.
And Yemi Amonso and Nam a year breakum Sampa Drobo Road. Mesre. Omo no mo mani nko sa kwan no so enso fa maye se ne kwan na se tutu a SS nkofo cars no se ama your drivers ni be kra person mo withdraw omo service e dey free sa kwan so
Pauli mami ntio just a minute na fe yanko okay
obia ye na adwuma se ne ye pepepe
okay
and na say that Tuesday any minister be share.
Yeah.
Ya hihye bia no. Ya de beba bonten. Na say ye tum. Say ye jan sa. Ya be mo nyina so ate.
Okay.
Na mum so be de mran me hye nsem na Easter yi obeka say ni pado do otu kwaninti. O beto ne fe mu no de ya pa mo cho. Second. O kofro car. Hwe car na ansa na wafro.
Okay.
Enko ka say Ken ni wonti bia besia
no de trotro
na wafo
ye circle la pass no bia kuzo de
kokoko no mu ne ade ye mpese ebebasa because yama welfare funu nyina ya we say omun kofa ka bia fi abonten
okay
e be fi station beba no
okay
ni sa
all right
na ye sere passengers no so say enye ye driver ye pentem bia ko say obekwa kodu na be samba so nchu ba lord fe no ye ntumwe
okay
ebia yame yadoma edi stani wia Tuesday no ye ni minister shia
beba so anase mba so
ye de beba bonten
okay nti enhwe nim Tuesday
nebom menya wakwanyen ye kodi Easter die ofidi kesie mami nchia mi kromofo akwam jakitefo
okay
em say Easter Monday ni die wo ma be kokwa wunyina bi sa ba jakiti e be ko beach mami nchia sam jefi ene samye oko
all right
nchia se ni pani
okay but I say Robin just a minute on this one run up for us and then this year way forward omodomo train Tuesday say BBC what do we look out for
I think that sometimes many Ashanti Bekasa it's just a failure of the system. There be a Kasa Ashanti now under President Kufuor started GRTCC, right?
Yeah.
That institution was formalizing it so that it becomes the regulatory institution for commercial vehicles.
Okay.
So that periodic the data will tell whether we should increase or not to increase.
Okay.
But say Abibiana was said driver for because he be 2 months and 2 months it's not healthy. It always creates chaos.
Okay. All right. But I say yes. Quick 1 second.
Minua ya kusi ewo kaachiri FM breakum.
Okay.
Or say drobo kwan na ye ka no. Odaya say wo so am esa kwan. Ni entu driver for no so for. Kwan ni nye. Si speed o mo ko wo so no. Esa de kwanhia enso eba. Ti ora ya kusi ye dance.
All right. Kezi Anana Sefa of a Brig Girls School ote Enyinem train station. Happy birthday to you. We Efi Dr. Bobo reporter my piece of FM no de nedie ebaye. And this one says that good evening me I am Musa Gentle Jackie from Buoho. Let's manage the fuel we have. At any moment I'm using tricycle Pragya. Every fuel station is the same. There's no difference between good and average oil. And even if OMCs never cheat, the workers at the filling station would cheat some of these customers. And I was Ghana is under hardship through President Mahama's administration. When they were in opposition, they talked a lot. My greetings to incoming youth organizer Chuma. And we just saw South Boache Dia Isaac aka Kentinka from Iceman Boakwa Menshia on Sonedia or De Ebayan. And this one says that Manso drivers they charge 100 Ghana cedis instead of 40 or 50 Ghana cedis. So no Sonedia or De Baye and no. And then Golden Boy announcement Pontin say good evening. The drivers are threatening to increase the transportation and yet yet they wait for some time. This time around, it is difficult. Yes, it is really, really difficult. And this one says, Benjamin Isian is very knowledgeable and on top of issues, especially in the area of fuel and petroleum concessions. God bless and protect him abundantly. Mr. Planner Junior, Policy Analyst Kintampo, and a day we also buy. And this is where your day